Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 4. So with Module 4, we are moving on to our next essay assignment. This essay will cover multiple modules as well. We are working on an argument essay. And so you'll see what happens is a lot of the skills that we learned for our critical thinking essay, we're going to continue to use for the argument essay. We're just adding some more layers to it. We'll add more sources that are required for this essay and a few more skills that we'll be taking a look at. All of this is building up in preparation for the big essay for the class, which is the research essay, and we will start working on that after you are finished with the argument essay. So let me show you what this module looks like. Like I said, we don't have an essay due in this module, so this is one of those modules where it's a lot of just reading some things, taking a quiz, showing me that you learned stuff, that kind of thing. So kind of three areas of topics that we're looking at, three areas of information: thesis statements, and so you're going to read about thesis statements, and then you'll take the thesis statement quiz. You'll read about MLA documentation, and you'll take the MLA documentation quiz. Documentation is, for a lot of students, the hardest part of this class. It's just dealing with multiple sources. How do you cite them? What does it look like? How does MLA differ from how you might have done citations in other classes or for different styles? A lot of students get MLA and APA style confused. And so we'll spend some time just with readings, examples, that kind of thing. And so the quiz is kind of the first step. Is you are going to do the readings in the textbooks, or at least look over them, review them. It's a lot from our textbooks, and part of the rules for writers section is really just for reference purposes. So, but make sure that you look through that. And then you'll take the quiz, which is one of those quizzes where you can take it as many times as you want to, and I recommend taking it more than once just so you can get more questions and see a little bit more of the types of things that I want to make sure that you know from the readings. And then the last part of this module is to actually start working on the argument essay. So the argument essay is that you'll notice that the practical argument textbook is an argument-based book, and so that's kind of where the class is going. And basically what you're going to do is practice basic argumentation skills. You may have written an argument essay in Comp 1, and so similar idea, where you have your topic, you make a claim, you support your claim, and then you might address an opposing viewpoint. And so those are the same elements that we'll use. However, it's a little bit different because in this textbook, their emphasis is on the 4 pillars of argument. And the 4 pillars of argument include that argumentative thesis, strong evidence to support your thesis, the addressing of an opposing viewpoint. The actual opposing viewpoint isn't the 3rd pillar, it's the refutation to it. So it's actually addressing and acknowledging that opposing viewpoint and countering it. And then a strong concluding statement is the 4th pillar. So that 4-pillar method is what we're going to use for this essay. So you're going to use the textbook again for this essay. This one is one where your topic is limited to a discussion of higher education, and you have essentially some choices in what you might cover. Most students like to look at the purpose of a college degree and then whether or not it's worth the money. Those tend to be a very popular way to approach this topic or approach this essay. But if that doesn't interest you as much, you could look at some of the other discussions, the result of college, should the government do more to relieve the student loan burden, that kind of thing. And I've had some students do some other things as well. And so if you are not certain of whether what you've chosen fits within the argument criteria, you can send me an email. The main thing that you have to remember is it does need to be an argument surrounding somehow or involving somehow the higher education, college. And then it also needs to be something where you can use at least one textbook article. And so for the last essay, you guys had to choose a textbook article and use that to do a critical response. in this essay, we're using those articles to help support your argument as opposed to you analyzing what the author did. And so we're now taking this a step further. Some of you chose for your article, for your critical thinking assignment, an article about higher education. And so now at this point, you might be able to use that same article in this essay. So then that's perfectly fine. So this essay is 2 to 4 pages. Again, we're thinking fairly short. And so what you want to do is think about how can you create an argument with probably 2 supporting paragraphs, and then the third supporting paragraph is actually a refutation to an opposing viewpoint. So you think about 3 supporting ideas, but one of them is actually addressing a counter argument, and you want to make sure you set it up with that 4-pillar method, which is also the method of organization. So thesis, evidence, opposing view, concluding statement. And then you do have to use 2 sources. You can use all of your sources from the practical argument textbook, but you have to have at least a minimum of 1. And sometimes, and I leave it kind of open, if you want to find a source outside of the practical argument textbook, that's fine. However, keep in mind that you will have to look up how to cite it and everything. Sometimes students want information that's a little bit more current because most of the articles in our book, the statistics and everything, a couple of years old at this point. So you might want to look for something more current. You can use first-person pronouns in this essay, but again, we're avoiding second person. We'll avoid it for every essay that we write. And then this one is worth a little bit more point-wise than the previous essay that's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more involved. So the first step is to do a pre-writing assignment, and this is just a journal assignment. We call it a journal assignment because I want you to break it into separate entries. You can, however, put it all in the same document, and that just makes it easier for me to grade. So it's all in the same document, and you'll just label each entry with whatever entry it is, and then you'll complete the steps for the entry underneath your label. So first step is to do a free write, and a free write is just setting a timer and just typing continuously for that amount of time, not stopping to make any corrections or anything like that. The second entry is a cluster map. A cluster map you can do with your Word program, with the symbols, circles and lines and that kind of thing, or you can hand draw it, take a picture, and just drop the picture straight into the document. That's fine too. Your informal outline will just be a list of ideas for your essay. Informal means that you don't need the Roman numerals and all of that. It can just be a bulleted list, but you want to try and keep it as organized as possible so I can kind of see what your plans are. And of course, you want a working thesis, which will be entry 4. So typically you put a working thesis with an outline, but since we're separating them out, working thesis, informal outline will be the main points and that kind of thing. So this should not take you very long to do this assignment. It's just intended to take you through the pre-writing process. If when you finish this pre-writing and you turn it in and you decide to change your topic, you do not have to turn in this assignment again. However, I do encourage you to complete it again because this is an essential step. If you skip over it, then your essay is definitely not going to be very good. So you want to make sure that you are really thinking through how you're going to approach this topic before you actually start writing the essay, which we'll do in the next module. So that's been a video for Module 4. Hopefully you're doing well. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email.